If I wanted to know who you were hanging with while I was gone, I would have asked you. It's the kind of cold that fogs up windshield glass, but I felt it when I passed you. There's an ache in you, put there by the ache in me. And if it's okay with you, it's okay with me. So we can call it even, you can call me babe for the weekend. 'Tis the damn season, right this now. Staying at my parents' house, and the road not taking looks real good now. And it all comes back to you in my hometown. So we can call it even, 'tis the damn season. You asked for it, and so we're going to do it. We've already done an episode on Taylor Swift Folklore. It was our second episode we ever did. And then she had to go and win the Grammy for Album of the Year. And then she had, well, actually before that, she had to go and release the sister album, an entire album called Evermore. So we're doing another episode on Taylor Swift. Shake it off, haters.
I take my time, flex like wool. I take my time, just let's go.
Welcome to Pop Culture Catechism, conversations about music, movies, and the longings of the human heart. Let's get started.
I take my time, just let's go.
Why do some relationships last and are so life-giving, and then other relationships just struggle and ultimately fail? How do you deal with that heartbreak after it's happened? How do you move on? Are you a new person? Are you still the same person? And how do I find hope amidst the pain of my present situation that I'm going through? All of these things are things that are covered in Taylor Swift's album Evermore, which came out in December, surprise, of 2020, just a few months after she had released her previous album, Folklore, over the summer of 2020. And we're going to talk about them today. I'm super excited for this episode. My name is Mike Tenney. I'm the host of Pop Culture Catechism. I'm a Catholic speaker and worship leader. I spent over a decade in Catholic education, teaching high school Catholic theology, and also trying to make it big as a rock star by night, which totally happened, by the way. Didn't happen. But I love having deep conversations with people about music and movies and just life and the big questions of what's it all mean and what is the meaning of life. So I'm very happy today to have Lauren Strauss with us from another Awaken Catholic show, Quarantine. She is a youth minister, and she also coordinates our events here at Awaken Catholic.
Yeah, I do. Thanks for having me, Mike.
My pleasure. So before we get too much into it, I want to tell you a little bit about Awaken Catholic. Awaken Catholic is a Catholic nonprofit media company. We want to spread the gospel far and wide across the interwebs, reach people where they aren't being reached with the love of Christ. And so we want to invite you to become a part of that mission. So go to awakencatholic.org/donate. And if you make a monthly donation, you can become part of what we call the AWAKEN Nation. And that helps everything that you see here happen. It keeps the lights on, keeps the camera running, pays the staff, feeds my children. All of those things you can help do. So I encourage you to, some of your donations, some of your tithe, if you could earmark some of that for Awaken Catholic, we would really appreciate that. We get messages all the time from people who watch our videos or come to our events, and they've been touched by the work that is happening here. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to partner with us, please go to awakencatholic.org/donate. You can also connect with the Awaken community by going to the App Store, either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, and downloading the Awaken app. You can also go to the awakenapp.io to download it, and it's an online community of Catholics, people who are seeking the truth, trying to find beauty in the world, trying to find a less toxic place than a lot of social media is to discuss what's going on in life and just find support for going through this crazy world. And you can talk to show hosts like me and Lauren on there. You can give us recommendations, ideas for shows, or just talk with us about episodes that we've done and different topics and just what's going on in life. It's a really cool developing community, and it's growing every day. So go ahead and download the Awaken Catholic app if you have not already. I want to tell you about one more app called Hallow. If you don't know what Hallow is, it is a great way to jumpstart your prayer life. If you're like me and you struggle to make prayer a priority sometimes and life just gets in the way, Hallow is a great way to help you do that. It has the Rosary, it has Lectio Divina, Scripture Meditations, it has a Daily Examine, which that's what I like to use it for. It has the Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike Schmitz, was one of the biggest podcasts in the nation right now. So you can get all that through the Hallow app, and you can get a free month of the premium version through Awaken. If you go to hallow.app/awaken, you get a free month of the premium, and that if you sign up for that through our link, it also helps us out and helps the show. And of course, just in the small ways you can help support the show is just like, subscribe, go on YouTube and subscribe, hit that little bell, go on your podcast app and give us a 5-star rating, write a review. If you know someone who's a Taylor Swift stan or just likes music or just is interested in these topics, send them a text, say, hey, I think you'd be interested in this episode. So all that stuff helps us out, and let us know what you think in the comments. We're so happy you're here, and I am very happy to be here with Lauren.
Yes,
Lauren, I gave a little intro about who you are, but tell us a little bit more about who you are and what are you up to? What's your deal?
What is my deal? Let's see. So I graduated from Bowling Green State University. My major was tourism, hospitality, and event management. So I've been really interested in events. Never thought I would become a youth minister. I always have loved marine biology and sharks and
That's awesome.
aquariums, and I always thought that I would be an event planner at an aquarium, which someday I still might. But
That sounds fun.
yeah, it's very fun. So yeah, but I ended up here, kind of just was working for Focus, the Fellowship of Catholic University Students. I interned for them.
Awesome organization. Shout out to Focus.
Shout out to them. I was working for them in Colorado, and I was just really feeling a stronger call to work for the church in some capacity. And as I was discerning different jobs and stuff, I just kind of was led here, and that's where I ended up. And so, yeah, I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Nice.
And back in Bowling Green, working Perrysburg at St. Rose.
Nice.
So yeah.
Very cool. Jesus got you.
Jesus got me, yeah.
he'll do that. It's funny how he does that. My undergraduate degree at Catholic U was in English and secondary ed. And then I ended up teaching theology for 14 years.
Right.
So,
you never know. You really don't.
Sometimes he just gets you, and he changes everything, wrecks everything. So I used to do a youth camp in Washington, D.C. And our slogan one year was like, don't come if you don't want God to wreck your life.
Right. Honestly.
You don't want your life changed,
So
don't even
true.
come. So we're talking about Taylor Swift's follow-up to Folklore, which won Album of the Year this year. Third time she's won Album of the Year. And she followed it up with Evermore. And it's her 9th studio album. And it's her 3rd studio album in like the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Because like people forget there was this album Lover, which happened in 2019. And then like just a little more than a year later, like she's released 3 albums in a crazy short amount of time.
With a crazy amount of songs on each of them.
Yes.
And
then she's also re-recording her old songs.
Right.
And releasing them too.
Exactly.
So we were going to release this episode in like January because it came out in December.
Yep.
And I was in DC and I was like, we got to talk about it right now. So you were going to come in, you were going to host, and I was going to zoom in.
Yeah.
But then.
And then I had COVID.
You got COVID. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah. I'm glad to be in studio with you too. It's really great.
And so I was like, we'll put it off. And then at some point I was just like, Taylor Swift is going crazy right now. She's releasing stuff like every 2 weeks. She's going to be relevant for a while. We can wait to do the episode.
Hold off, yeah.
So I'm glad to be here with you in person.
Absolutely.
And I don't know when we're going to release this, but anyway, hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully people are still talking about Taylor Swift. So you probably are too young to know this or remember this, but in the early 90s, Guns N' Roses, you're familiar with Guns N' Roses. So they put out 2 albums back to back.
Okay.
And it was they called it Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2. And I heard somebody call these albums Use Your Seclusion 1 and Use Your Seclusion 2. I think it was in the New York Times
that's hilarious.
review. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's just these 2 albums just packed full of just like introspection on life. And
it's deep too.
It's
deep
super
stuff.
deep.
Yeah.
And Folklore was like pretty sad.
Yeah.
And then this album, people were like, oh, she's, the artwork was like very, very happy. And they thought, oh, maybe she's getting married. Maybe this is a surprise engagement.
This is the one. This is it.
And then this album is like way darker, I think.
I definitely, I mean, the color, like with the album cover, like the colors changed.
Can we throw some pictures up there?
That's why I wore my flannel today, because I kind of match. See?
Oh, you do?
Yeah, right.
That's great commitment.
Yeah. No, but it's so different from the other one. I mean, the other one was like black and white, and you think that, wow, this is a new Taylor, and this seems a lot deeper. And then she released this one, and you're like, that was nothing compared to this one. Like,
yeah. And this is, I feel like this is a little more experimental in some places. It's a little more broad. Because there's some stuff that would sound fine on earlier Taylor Swift's albums, like Long Story Short. I feel like that could be on any album, I feel like, of hers. But she has 2 songs, and I don't know how much music theory you know, but there's 2 songs that are counted in 5, which is very unusual for music. Like most music is either 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. But she has a song that's in 5. Tolerate It and Closure are both in 5.
Interesting.
And it's a really when you listen to those songs, like count to 5, and it's weird. It's hard to get in the groove.
Yeah.
And like that's not something you do on a pop record. You don't make songs in 5. It's like all my music nerd friends, when this album came out, they were like, Taylor Swift is doing songs in 5/4. Anyway, we geeked out about that for a little bit. Now, when I first asked you to be on this episode with me, you were a little hesitant, right?
I was, yeah.
Okay, because you're not a huge Taylor Swift fan, right?
Right.
Tell me about your.
I'm not a Swiftie, as people would say.
Yeah. So tell me about your moderate admiration for Taylor Swift.
Right. So when I was like first listening to Taylor Swift, I appreciated her country. Like I love country music, and so when she started the Taylor Swift album. And then, like, as she kept going with Speak Now and what was it, Fearless, the other ones. And then it was like when Red came out in 1989, like that was all Shift. And I liked those. Those are some of my favorite albums. I do miss Country Taylor. I mean, Country Taylor was
Me too.
Was great.
Yeah.
But then she moved into Red and then 1989, and I liked those. And then it moved into what was it? Reputation. Yeah. And I was like, that's when it kind of started getting a little more like shaky for me.
All hip hop, and she's doing
I was like
with Future, and
I was like, what happened to like innocent like country Taylor?
Yeah.
So then it moved to Reputation. That's like kind of when I was like not as into it. And then Lover came out, and I was listening. The thing with that too is I don't always listen to full albums. Like some people, like that's their thing.
Yep.
You listen to someone you like, you listen to the entire album, and I will do that.
Yeah.
I do that, but if it's something that I like just don't have a super like large passion for, then I'm not. You know, like everyone's like, you gotta listen to this album. It's like, okay, but if there's certain songs, I'm like, like I don't feel like listening to the whole thing.
I know what you mean.
So Lover came out, and I don't think I listened to the whole thing, but I did like songs from Lover.
Yeah, there's some good songs.
And then I remember when Folklore came out, because it was my birthday. We were on vacation at the beach. It was with my family. And so my cousin, my brother, and I are in a room together. And it was like midnight. We're in like bunk beds. And we're like, let's listen to the Folklore album. And we play The One. And we were like, what is going on? Like it was so we were so thrown off, and then we're like, ooh, explicit, like explicit Taylor.
So, warning: this album also has some explicit language, so I don't.
This
think
one's a little worse. I feel like
it
with
is a little worse. So there will be some lyrics we discuss that have some strong language. So you might not be this might not be an episode to listen to with the kids around. Not that we're going to be dropping F-bombs all over the place, but just. Be forewarned.
But when we played The One, it was like one word. I don't know if she said like damn or something, and we were like, ooh, explicit. Like, I don't know. It was just funny. We just weren't expecting that. But we started playing, like we were shuffling a couple songs, and then I don't know, I think we made it through like 3 songs, and we were like, these all sound the same. We were like, and so then Evermore came out, and I remember my brother and I were in the car. We were driving somewhere. We had enough time, and so we started listening to Evermore, and we got through some, and we were like, okay, the first one, Willow. We were like, okay, we like Willow.
It's a bop.
It is a bop, yeah. And then we got to Champagne Problems, and we were like, okay. We're like, not sure. And then we got to Gold Rush, and we're like, and then we kept going, and we're like, ugh. Like we kind of like progressively just kept like shuffling through, and we're like,
it's real sad, real quick.
We would listen to like a little part of it, and then we're like, nah, like I don't know. And then after a while, we just kept like skipping songs, and we're like, I think we're done for the day. Like, so that's kind of my journey through Taylor Swift, I guess.
And then I asked you to.
then you
about
asked
this
me, and I was
album?
like, oh man, like I really got to listen to Evermore now.
So now having had some time with it, have your feelings changed?
I think I've had more appreciation because a lot of times when I listen to albums, I don't always just sit with lyrics. Like I'll listen to the song and it's like how it sounds, the tune. But people are like, you really got to listen to the lyrics and what's behind it, especially with Taylor Swift, because she is like,
The lyrics
are where it's at. Yeah. And I remember when I was listening to your other podcast with Folklore, I think you guys mentioned something about how she's not like the greatest singer. Like she's really not, but honestly, like she has an amazing range in her voice, and she can go deep, she can go high, she can, all in between.
She uses her instrument well.
Yes, yeah. And lyrically is like I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, she's really the amount of albums she's released, and
she's
she
an
writes
incredible storyteller.
she writes all her songs pretty much herself, right? And so it's just unbelievable how she can do that. I can't even fathom.
So, and I feel like this album is the perfect marriage of Tennessee Taylor, which is kind of like the country Taylor.
There are countryish feels in here.
And then New York Taylor, which is like Red, 1989, Blank Space. And then like this is and Reputation, and then this is LA Taylor. Like she's in the community of songwriters, in her room grinding out lyrics, and it's like the perfect marriage of all of those. So if you've ever liked any Taylor Swift, I think you'll like Evermore, because there's something for every type of Taylor Swift fan on there. So so we talked to kind of artistically about the album, which has a very similar kind of palette to Folklore. They're using a lot of the same instruments and instrumentation.
Yeah.
But then there's times that break free from that. But let's go ahead and dive into some of the themes.
Okay.
And Willow's the first song on the album. Did you? I didn't find a whole lot real deep in this. Did you find some meaning in this one?
Yeah, I did. So when I listened to it,
let's throw those lyrics up there.
Yeah. So I think
my guitar as a mouse pad here. Sorry.
I think the lyrics that they're on. Okay. So I wrote down, wherever you stray, I follow. I'm begging for you to take my hand, wreck my plans. Anywhere else is hollow. And that's the point. Those are the lyrics that I picked out specifically. And, the overarching thing is that it seems like, she's falling for someone.
Yeah.
But the other part that I took out of this immediately that I connected to this was God's will to be done.
Okay,
and because
tell me, I'm interested now.
Yeah, so I was thinking, like wherever you stray, I follow. I'm begging for you to take my hand, wreck my plans, and anywhere else is hollow. So specifically for you to take my hand, wreck my plans, anywhere else is hollow.
That's like what we were just talking about.
We were just talking about this before the show. Yeah, literally before we aired, we were just talking about this. And it's like, there's so many times, I don't know, like we can follow our own path in life. So many, like we can, obviously that's our free will, right? We have that choice to make our own life and our own choices and whatever else. But ultimately, like we need to follow what God wants for us, because he created us, and we are called to follow his plan for us. Like that's doing things on our own is not going to lead us down a very good path. And so there's so many times that I find myself like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And like, I can't do this alone. Right. Yeah. And so I just want him to like take my hand and literally wreck my life. Like, and we were just, like if you were saying, if you go on a retreat or something, like be prepared to be wrecked by God. And so
do some stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's like, when we're at our lowest point in life, sometimes you just are like, okay, like I give up. I can't do this anymore. And there's something bigger than you that you realize that, you just need. And so, there's sometimes like if you're on your knees praying or you just don't know what the next step is in your life, you beg for someone, you beg for God to take your hand and to just completely wreck your life, because you need to just be transformed. And then anywhere else is hollow. That's the point that like you can be into drinking, drugs, sex. You can do all those things that you think fulfill you, but those things only fulfill you in that moment.
Yeah.
And
you'll be empty very soon.
You're going to be empty very soon. You're going to be hollow. And
it's the woman at the well who Jesus says, you can get this water, but you're going to be thirsty.
But you're going to be thirsty.
But I could give you living water.
Yeah.
Right. Where you would never have to come back here. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
But I think you're right. And it is part of Catholic teaching that in like even in a romantic relationship, in a good healthy romantic relationship, especially a good healthy marriage, we do glimpse like the love of God.
Yeah.
You know, and a husband and wife are meant to be the reflection of God's love for one another. And the Bible's full of spousal imagery with Christ as the bridegroom, and you know the end of the Bible in the book of Revelation when heaven and earth come together, it's described as like wedding night sex, basically. Like it says the heavenly Jerusalem comes down adorned as a bride for her husband, and like on the wedding day. So like there is that connection in Scripture of like the romantic, passionate love. Like it is. When it's healthy, it is of God, and it gives us a glimpse of God and of God's love. Right. And I think she's tapping into some of that there, like something in her soul. Like I don't know her religious beliefs or whatever, but there's something in her soul that in this relationship is glimpsing eternity. That like there's a hollowness that is only filled by love and like good relationship. And I think the first place a lot of people glimpse that is in a good, healthy, romantic relationship. I want to talk just briefly about Champagne Problems.
Okay.
Because Champagne Problems, it's kind of like this story of there's this guy and they've been dating, and then he proposes in front of everybody, and he had already told his family, and your sister has this bottle of champagne and everybody's there, and then she says, Nope, I'm not going to marry you. Now no one's celebrating. It's kind of this interesting story. And like I said, a lot of people were expecting this album to be like, surprise, I'm engaged. Surprise, I'm married. And instead you have songs about broken engagements, broken marriages, you know, just heartbreak.
Broken mentally.
Yeah, broken mentally. Like going back for hookups with old boyfriends. And it's like very, very broken. But there's this great line in here. I don't know why I love this so much. Where they say she would have made such a lovely bride. What a shame she's effed in the head. I think the edited version says stuck in her head, but it's like I was like, oh, yeah. I could just see like Swifties at the concert like yelling that out.
Well, and that's the part. Like I didn't really connect this, but my roommate loves Taylor Swift, and she was like walking me through the song a little bit, and she was saying like this song is a lot about her mental issues as well.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't even realize that. And I think that's like that part when it says like she's effed in the head. Like I think that's the part where mentally she's not always. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and I mean relationships aren't easy.
Right. No.
Right. Like they're always easy at first. And then you hit a point where they're not easy in them anymore. And that takes like some stability, right? You need to be, or else it becomes codependent and unhealthy and, or maybe even abusive. Like you need to have a certain, amount of self-identity, self-worth. I would say, foundation strength in the Lord to really be healthy. But a lot of times people instead find their self-worth in the other person rather than having the self-worth and then the other person who also should have self-worth.
Like finding themselves first.
The two of you are better than like the two of you are better than you would be apart, but you're not like incomplete without the other person necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting.
We're not going to hit every song because there's a million songs on this album. This song, "'Tis the Damn Season." I started with this song.
Like this one.
This may be my favorite Taylor Swift song.
That's so interesting
of all
to
time.
Me. Really?
Yeah, I just think. Well, it's got a cool guitar part. I'm a sucker for a good guitar part. A real nice, clean electric guitar that just speaks to my heart. Finger picking, I love that. But also, it's this story of. It's like she's come home for Thanksgiving, like from college or whatever, but she's coming home to visit her family, and she meets this guy that she used to have a thing with, and it just feels real comfortable. And it's kind of like, okay, well, we can do this for a few days, I guess. I'm staying at my parents' house. Here you go. And it's kind of like, but there's this kind of recognition that she's selling herself short but she's kind of like, I can't stop myself
Mm-hmm.
almost.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know her religious background, but I feel like Taylor Swift has like a clinical understanding of the way that sin operates in the human soul. I'm rereading Lord of the Rings right now. I don't know if you ever read Lord of the Rings.
I didn't know.
But like the way the ring like speaks to people and tempts people, it like sounds like, oh, this is the way that I justify sin in my own life. I've had these conversations with myself. And when I listen to Taylor Swift and I see a song like this, was like, oh, I've totally justified things like this and just been like, I'm too weak to do it otherwise.
Right.
I've, it's just for a little bit. It's not that big a deal. Just the way, the character in this song can like talk herself into something that they know is not good for themselves and they know is unhealthy. It's like, that is, that is sin. And
right.
I recognize that in myself.
Yeah. I think there were some lines that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
I don't know like the explanation exactly behind it, but there's an ache in you put there by the ache in me.
Ooh.
But if it's all the same to you, it's the same to me. If it's okay with you, it's okay with me. We could call it even.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I think the first line, like specifically, there's an ache in you put there by the ache in me. Like that's just, when you're in a relationship, like if one of you hurts, the other one hurts. And like, it's just really transparent between the two of you.
In that idea of the ache, I think we've all felt the ache.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I feel like the ache is fundamental to the human experience, that at some point you just feel that ache, even when you have friends, even if you have a good job, even if everything exteriorly looks fine. And we just recorded yesterday an episode on John Mayer, and he has a song called Something's Missing. And I don't know how to fix it, but he goes through like a checklist of like relationships, check, financial success, check, but still something's missing. And I see that woven throughout Taylor Swift lyrics, especially in this song, is there's this ache and I'm trying to fill it with something. Here's an old boyfriend. I'm home on holiday, and going home always, I don't know about you, but it always makes me kind of like nostalgic and reflective about, the way it's just seeing my old hometown, seeing my old house, sleeping in my own bed, maybe seeing some of my old friends, just think about how things could have been differently.
Right.
It could have gone a little bit different. You ever seen Napoleon Dynamite? And the uncle who's like stuck in the past and trying to go back in time. Like I think sometimes we fall into that. It's like trying to reinvent the past, and that I think that's what she's struggling with here.
And that's why I think it's so interesting, no matter who you are, and especially in songwriters, even if they're not religious or you don't, know their spiritual background necessarily, like you can see that there's an ache for something more in everyone. Yeah. There's always going to be something that's missing for those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just,
well, and the root word of religion is the same root for relationship. It's the same root, like religion in American culture, and especially in non-Catholic Christian culture, religion's kind of a bad word. People say, oh, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious, or, oh, that's dead religion. It's just human traditions. But religion at its core, the original understanding of that word religion was it's about relationship. Yeah. As Jesus said, it's about loving God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and loving your neighbor as yourself. And so when somebody says I'm not religious, I'm like, you're wrong. Like everyone's religious. Right. I'm sorry, because we're built for relationship. We're built for one another.
It's understanding that the word where it comes from.
Yes, exactly. And there is gonna be that ache inside us for something greater. And I think what people are saying there is that like I'm rejecting kind of this false piety. I'm rejecting these kind of dogmatic moralistic rules that I see as based in control. But fundamentally, religion is about relationship, right? Relationship within myself, with God, and with other people. Right. Yeah, I just love this song, and it's kind of a Christmas Thanksgiving song because it talks about the seasons, but it's also it's also universal, right? And you can see just the way she tells the story, like sleeping in half the day. I'll go back to LA to my so-called friends. You can see she's kind of jaded, right? And so I feel like a lot of times when we're jaded and we're having a hard time and we're not really sure, we're kind of aimless in life, it's easy to go back to things that are comfortable. Even if they're not good for us. And I just clinical understanding of the way sin operates in the human soul. Yeah. reminds me a lot of Illicit Affairs off of Folklore. And my favorite song off of Love Her is called Cruel Summer.
Okay.
And it's the same sort of thing. It's like, I know this relationship is bad for me, but I'm doing it anyway.
But
yeah. So.
Oh yeah, Tolerate It.
I
want to talk about this one.
I might take it back. This might be my favorite song on the album. I don't know. You start.
Okay, so I didn't really like the vibe of this song, but it was a very deep song.
Yeah.
I made you my temple, my mural, my sky. Now I'm begging for footnotes in the story of your life. I immediately went to how true this is in marriages and relationships.
Yes.
And just the like it's in the title. Simply, so many people that just, I don't know, like I'm not married, but I just like hearing and seeing and like I know like how often that people can just tolerate one another.
Yes.
And just cohabitate with one another. And just be instead of actually like growing and talking about things and learning and, you know, diving a little like relationship and being actually in a healthy relationship with one another instead of just, you know, learning to be living together.
It's easy to take someone for granted.
Yes.
And they've, especially after you're married, but it can happen with your parents. It can happen with a sibling or a roommate. You take the person for granted, and the wonderful things that first kind of connected you to that person, you get used to. You don't, even if you appreciate it, maybe you don't always verbalize it. And yeah, so Maggie Craig, who we were just talking about before the show, she was my guest for the Harry Potter episode. So go to Maggie Craig's YouTube channel. She has a couple videos about Taylor Swift that are really good, and she does one on this song. Okay. Where she said, like, this song is like an examination of conscience.
Oh,
like, with my relationship with God, like God is pouring his abundant love on me all the time because he has created me, he's created this whole world. Every good and perfect gift comes from God. And a lot of times I just tolerate it. You know, I go to church and I just tolerate it. That's a very good way to look at it, yeah. I feel the breath in my lungs throughout the day, and I just, like, we go through this world filled with the glory of God, and we just tolerate it.
And wow, yeah.
So if she has a really interesting way of looking at this as if, you know, this is God speaking to you, like you're just tolerating it. So that's one way to look at it. Yeah, it is really neat. So having been married, having been through some ish with my wife, and having worked through some stuff and come out stronger the other side, I see some things. First of all, this is one of the songs in 5, which is kind of why the vibe is creepy, and weird and uncomfortable, which I think is great songwriting because it's an uncomfortable topic, and then the rhythm is uncomfortable, and you're not really sure like when the beat's going to start again, like where the one beat is. But what this made me think of is kind of the difference between like love languages and extroverts and introverts. And sometimes in marriage counseling, they call it like the tiger versus the turtle. Because there are some people, and this is me, if there's a problem, I'm going to fix it. If there's a problem, I'll solve it. Check out the beat while the DJ revolves it. Like I'm gonna do something right now. If we have to stay up till 3 a.m. and like yell and fight about it, we're doing it, and we're doing it right now. We're not sleeping until it happens. Yeah. Okay. There's another way of operating, which I wasn't aware of until I got married.
Which is your wife, apparently.
Yes. Which is, we're going to think about this for a while. But
you're like, no.
Before we talk about it, you know? And so when I see this, I recognize things in myself where it's like, I'm doing these things, and it just seems like you're tolerating it. But from the other person's point of view, it can be like, you are badgering me and you won't leave me alone to like figure some stuff out. Like, we need some space and then we can reconnect. Like, and so I think there's a flip side to this, and something I've recognized in myself that can be a little bit manipulative, that wise priest pointed out to me one time, is that we can make these sort of little secret contracts in our heads. And like, I'm the sort of person, I love to give gifts. I love to do acts of service. I love to be very generous. And that's why people like me. And I love it when people like me and tell me how much they like me. But inside my head, I realize that a lot of times I'm making these little secret contracts that like, well, I took out the trash the past 6 weeks. You know, I got you flowers for your birthday. I got like, and then on the flip side, there's these expectations that I've built up in my mind that I never had vocalized. I never said, this is the way that I find appreciation and I find love. I just like expect that person to read my mind, and I have these secret contracts. And so
I do that too.
Yeah. So, and I think all of us do to some extent. And it's a really vindictive way that our broken, sinful human natures, or call it the devil, whatever you want, can kind of get in your mind and turn you sour and resentful against somebody that you love. And because on the surface, you can feel all great about yourself. I am the generous person. I've done this and this and this for this other person. And what have they done for me? Oh, I'm so persecuted or whatever. It's like, really, you're being a prideful SOB. Or I'm being a prideful SOB.
Yeah.
Really what you need to do is learn how to communicate your expectations, communicate how you're feeling, and give that person a real chance to be able to love you.
Right.
Because anyway, I see two sides to this song.
Right.
Yeah. So I think, so what I take from it is there's a few lessons is, one, try not to take people for granted, try to be appreciative, but also like when you feel like the person that's being tolerated, like maybe you're not the good guy, like just question, like maybe you are like bugging the crap out of that person and they just need some space because that's how they deal with it.
Because that's how they operate. Yeah. Right.
And you need to learn to respect that and communicate with them. Yeah. So hopefully my wife won't care that I share too much of this, but like in the beginning part of our relationship, when we were still learning like how to talk to each other,
right?
Like how we started a lot of times was like, I would be the tiger. I would want to come in and be the extrovert and fix it right away. And I'd say all these things and she would just be like so overwhelmed and not know how to, she would just like wouldn't know how to say anything. And I would feel like rejected and rebuffed, which she wasn't doing. And then like a few hours later, I'd get an email. And she'd like written me an email being like, this is what I'm feeling. And like, as silly as that sounds on the surface, like that began the process of us being able to like have healthy communication. And like that hasn't happened in years now. Like now we talk about stuff and when something comes up, I know I got to trust my wife enough to just be patient and she's going to talk to me and she loves me, even if she's not telling me how great I am right at this moment.
That's so interesting.
So,
I see myself in this. I mean, I'm not married, but I'm dating someone and I can see like, it seems like he's more of you and I'm more of your wife almost because there's times like we have great communication, love him for that. And there'll be times where he just like pours out whatever to me and like I don't say much back because I just like soak it in. Yeah. And then like later on, once I process things, like that's when I say things more or like I'll send something later on when I can actually write it out. And like I understand that 100% and it's like him trying to be patient with me because he just like wants an answer or wants to know something. And it's just like, well, that's not like, I don't know, things aren't coming out. So I can't really, but yeah.
That's
so interesting.
Very, very, very interesting. So babe, sorry if that was sharing too much on the internet. But our relationship, like it's interesting. Right. I kind of expected when I got married, it was going to be like honeymoon period. Everything's wonderful. And then like the feelings would start to fade and like, we'd have to like fight to keep the passion alive. Right. And my experience of marriage was more like, wow, this is really hard right away. And then like, oh, it's getting better. Oh, it's getting better. Oh, it's getting better. And it's just been like the past 9 years, like it's been getting better.
So
and,
good.
Like, we set on we went out for our 9th anniversary just a few months ago.
Congrats.
And
awesome.
Thank you. And we got 2 kids now. And she was saying to me, she's like, I feel like this is our best year yet. And I was like, yeah, I feel like newlyweds. And she's like, but we didn't feel like newlyweds when we got married. I was like, yeah, that's true. Like it took a while to get there. It took a lot of hard work. But it really is like getting better. I'll share one more story, then we can stop talking about me. The day after we got married, it was a Saturday night. So then Sunday morning we went to mass, and it was at a parish that we had traveled a bit. So we weren't at our home parish, but we were kind of lovey-dovey holding each other's hands. And the lady behind us at the sign of peace said, did you guys just get married? And we were like, I guess we're that obvious. And she said the strangest thing to us. She said, don't worry, it gets better. And we both like talked about it that day. Like, what a weird thing to say. But that lady was like an angel sent from God. She was like prophetic for our marriage.
You're like, wait, we did need that.
Yeah, we absolutely did need that. So lady at,
wherever you are,
Sacred Heart in Bowie, who said that to some random newlywed couple a few years ago. Like, Thank you.
God bless you. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about another super sad song.
Happiness. Yes.
One of the saddest songs, but it's called Happiness.
It's called Happiness. Yeah.
So I love in this song, it's basically like about a divorce, like the end of a relationship.
Yeah.
But I love this refrain, and the words are different every time in the chorus. There will be happiness after you, but there was happiness because of you.
That's what I wrote down.
Both of these things can be true. And then the next chorus, there'll be happiness after me, but there was happiness because of me. Both of these things, I believe. And that wrestling with the good of a relationship and the bad of a relationship, the good of a person and the bad of a person at the same time, saying both of these things can be true. Did you have thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking the same thing. And it just made me think of seasons of life. Because you can be dating someone and you're like, I'm so happy. This is like the best thing. And then everything crashes and burns. And then you're back at stage one. And then you start over again. And then, but you made, the two of you made each other so happy. And then like you go your separate ways and you're still going to find like more happiness. Right. And then maybe that ends. And then it just keeps going. Right. And so you have to learn to find that happiness again, honestly. And like in that relationship. And then when it, all the sadness and heartbreak, whatever. And then like finding that happiness that you once had again.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of, I dated a lot. I probably dated too much, which is why I don't mind sharing stories of like ex-girlfriends because there's so many. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Great lessons, right?
I'm sure they really, if they ever listen, I'm sure they really appreciate that. So sorry, ladies. Love in my heart for you. But this song just reminded me of so many breakups I've been through. And also at the time this album came out, I had two good friends of mine were getting divorced, and I was just like this song breaks my heart. But just the idea that connected to me was that just because this relationship didn't last doesn't mean this relationship was a waste.
Right.
And we have this idea in our culture that you had the one, have you met the one? Have you found the one? Oh, was it meant to be? And, specifically a difficult breakup in my early 20s. Afterwards, I forgot who I was talking to. I was talking to a friend, and they were like, well, maybe you were just meant to be for a time. Maybe you weren't meant to be together forever. Like you learned real things from her. She learned real things from you. Your relationship was good in these ways. Just because you weren't supposed to marry her doesn't mean it was like wasted years. Doesn't mean it was wasted time.
Right.
Like you still were a help for each other on your journey to holiness. And that was really helpful for me to still have gratitude in my heart for this girl that I loved and in some ways still love, and and hope the best for and pray for occasionally still, like there's and I hope one day in heaven we'll get to see each other and hug it out, and I'll be like, I was stupid, and she'll be like, I know, and she'll be like, I was stupid, and I'm like, I know. Like, whatever, we're here with Jesus now, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. So, none of that matters anymore.
So I see her kind of taking that eternal perspective here in this song.
Yeah.
Other things you wanted to pull out from this song?
I don't think there was much else for that one.
Yeah, there is some bitterness in this song. But it's almost like she recognizes that it's not healthy. There's that line where she says, I hope she'll be a beautiful fool who takes my spot next to you. And then she's like, no, I didn't mean that. I can't see facts. I'm not being reasonable. I'm just like angry ex-girlfriend right now.
Right. Which is so true. Like after something, we're just like, like you just want to, you're just so mad and you just have all this like emotion in you. And then you're like, wait, no, let me just take a step back. Like I'm fine.
I remember one time, again, sorry, ex-girlfriend story.
No.
I'd broken up with a girl, and like, again, I had initiated the breakup. I was like done with the relationship. But like a couple months later, I was on the metro in DC and I saw her out on a date.
No. Oh man.
And we're like passing on the escalator, and it was a guy I knew who was a great guy. And like objectively in my head, I'm like, I wish the best for this girl and her future happiness. And he is a great guy and they would be great together. And this would be a super healthy relationship. But in my heart, I'm like ready to throw down and like pop the escalator.
Absolutely.
And like, yeah. So anyway,
fight a dude.
I did not do that. I just did like an awkward wave, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I get that. I think I know what's coming next.
What's coming next?
Ivy.
Ivy? Ooh, okay. Do you want to start?
I think you should start
Okay.
this one. I feel like you got a lot to say with this.
I have a lot to say about everything. I like being the center of attention. That's why I started the podcast.
Right.
This song is first of all, there's super cool imagery in this song about just like the ivy grows on the castle and how it's like kind of beautiful, but it all like ivy can like tear down a brick wall, it can kill a tree. Like there's such a cool kind of insidious nature to ivy and how it kind of takes over and can strangle something, but it's also like beautiful. And so it's like how she's married, but she's tempted by this guy. Let's look at some of the lyrics here where it says, my pain fits in the palm of your freezing hand, taking mine, but my hand's been promised to another. You're putting roots in my dreamland, my house of stone, but your ivy grows and now I'm covered in you. Like that is excellent songwriting.
It is, yeah.
Just like maintaining that same metaphor through the whole song and just teasing out the different implications of it. It's super cool. The
overview, what I was getting from this too, is that it seemed like kind of like there was like an affair happening a little bit. Because she like was going to marry one guy, but another guy was still in the picture. Yeah,
well, she even calls him my husband, so I got the sense that she's already married. Like, we drink my husband's wine.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right?
So there we go.
And like these moments that we stole. So if you'll indulge me for a second, there is I love musically about this song. Like, so, how's one to know? The spirit fits the bone. So it's a couple things about the chords. Like it's kind of, so there's major chords which are like, happy, I've had my coffee today. And then there's minor chords which are like, oh, I've not had my coffee. And so that's kind of a simple way of understanding like what makes a song sound happy or not so happy. And this song is very ambiguous. The first chord is like, which is kind of halfway between major and minor. So there's this ambiguity of like whether it's happy or sad, which is happening in the music. And also the chorus through most of the song starts major. I can't, my pain fits in the palm of your freezing hand. It's major. D. We're in D major for you music nerds. But the last chorus is in the minor. So, I can't, my pain fits, and it sounds much sadder. So it's like the song
like
gets
mixed feelings.
sadder as you go, which is again great songwriting.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Other than the fact that I don't like the Lord's name being taken in vain.
So I want to talk about that too. So again, language warnings. She says "goddamn" quite a bit in this song.
It's a great song though, man.
But I think there's like a reason to it, because like what does damn mean? It has like to do with hell, right? And like a curse. And like I feel devil vibes all over this. Is like, I'm married to my husband. I'm trying to make this work. Things are rough, and damn it, here's this guy who is beautiful, and I'm like falling for. There's a Franciscan brother who I was very close to, and one time he was giving a vocations talk, and he was talking about working in the soup kitchen and becoming friends with one of the girls that worked there. And he said, I had this realization in prayer one day, damn it, I'm in love. And he had to like work through that as part of his vocational discernment. And he's still happily as a brother. He worked through it and he's good. But like, that's what this reminded me of is like, damn it, there's this temptation there. And like, I'm attracted to this, and a part of me wants this, even though I know it's bad for me. And she uses it again at the end. Where is it? It's a fire. She's like, oh, it's a fire. It's a goddamn.
It's a fire. It's a violent blaze.
Yeah. It's she says something like it's a goddamn fire in the dark or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I got the edited lyrics. It's the fiercest fight of my life. A violent blaze. I think it says it's a goddamn fight in the dark or something like that. But anyway, like again, I also don't like the language of goddamn, and I don't speak that way unless I'm like speaking in an educational way, like theoretically. But from a songwriting perspective, I think it works here because it is like, this is a damned situation. In Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis, sometimes he uses the word damn, and he is like, I mean it. Like, this is
To get the point.
this is damnable. Like, this is having to do with the fires of hell. And
Right.
like, this is how sin works within us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you give into these temptations, as beautiful as they sit, like, they will wreck you.
Yeah.
They will damn you. They will curse you. Like, this is as beautiful as this man and this ivy looks. Like, this ivy is going to crumble your house and strangle your tree.
Yeah.
And that is damnation, right? Like, God warns us against sin, not because he's like some guy up there saying, hey, that pisses me off, I'm going to smite you. He's like, no, my child, don't touch the
Right.
stove. Please don't touch the stove. You're going to get hurt. And so anyway, that's why I don't really, I object to the use of goddamn generally.
Right.
But in this
In
song,
this-
I feel like it fits because it's about sin. It's about damnation. It's about things that will kill you from the
Yeah.
inside. So,
Right. Okay.
um,
Yeah, some other lyrics that stuck out to me, you were starting to sing them. I'd meet you where the spirit meets the bones in a
Ooh.
faith-forgotten land.
oh,
And that's, I mean, when I heard faith-forgotten land, I was like, if that ain't the truth for today.
yeah.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
And so I was just thinking of how, like, how can we bring the spirit into this world?
Oh my
And
gosh,
like our
yeah.
faith is, our world is so broken. And how true is that? Like, so many people have lost their faith, or yeah, we are in a faith-forgotten land.
Yeah, and they have that ache, but they don't know how to fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
And the spirit meets
we
the
have
bones.
That ache, but we don't know how to fill it. Sorry, you were
Right.
saying the spirit meets the bones.
The
I want to hear
spirit
what
meets
you
the
have to say
bones,
about
and
this.
there's just so much packed in that. I feel like that I don't even know if I can like unravel. Like where the spirit meets the bones. There's just so much. I feel like theology behind that.
Yeah.
that-
Well, I mean, in Christian theology, there is this idea that we are body and soul.
Right,
We're
yeah.
not just a soul. We're not just a
body
body.
and soul composite. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hieromorphism, Aristotle, represent Thomas Aquinas. I had a professor in college when we were studying Aristotle and Thomas Aquinas, and he said he wrote the word body on the board, and then over top of it, over the same letters, he wrote the word soul. And he's like, this is the human person. We are a body soul. We are a soul body. We are like the two combined. And that's why we
Yeah.
believe in a resurrection. And that's why we have sacraments, first of all, with these physical things like baptism and Eucharist
Yeah.
and marriage, where we experience the spiritual in a real physical way. You can taste it. You can touch it. You don't just have to take it on faith that you're forgiven. You actually have a priest saying, I forgive you in the ministry of the church.
Right.
And there's something about relationships which are also sacramental, and specifically marriage and romance, which is sacramental. I mean, marriage is one of the sacraments where the spirit meets the bone, like it touches us body and soul. And that's why it's so powerful. And that's why it can be such a force for great good and such a source for great evil. Because
Right.
if we don't get it right, it's awful. I mean, cars are great, but if something's going wrong in the car, like death and destruction,
Yeah.
like will throw you through the windshield,
mhm.
And the same thing is true with our relationships. Like if our relationships are rightly ordered towards God, oh my gosh, what a blessing in our life. And that can be such a blessing on your life.
Yeah.
But if you're using each other, if there's manipulation, if there's lack of communication, it'll throw you through the windshield.
Right.
And not that you can't heal from that, not that you can't get up from that,
It's just
but
gonna be
where the spirit meets the
crawling out of
bone
it,
is
right.
important.
yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that part.
Me too. So, long story short, I feel like is every song she's written about a boy in the past like 10 years. It was the wrong guy, Now I'm with the right guy.
Yeah. I really liked the part in that though that she was saying, I try to pick my battles till the battles picked me. And the part that I pulled out of that was just like, how much in our lives do we want to control things?
Ooh.
Like we always want to control things. But there's certain things, like things are still inevitable of happening in our lives.
Yes.
And so no matter how much we want to control things,
Mm-hmm.
things can still happen. Like you can't control someone getting cancer. You can't
Yeah,
control,
amen.
you can't control those things. And
Someone breaking up with you.
Someone breaking up. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you can try to pick your battles as much as you want, but they're still going to come to you.
Yeah.
Suffering's still going to come your way.
Yes. I love this line. I love this song. I think it's great. I didn't mean to denigrate it by saying it's similar to other songs she's written
No, yeah.
thematically, but I fell from the pedestal, went right down the rabbit hole. long story short, it was a bad time. I think she's kind of like poking fun at herself. She's like, I know I read a lot of songs about this. Long story short, it was a bad time.
I'll spare you the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And she says, I was pushed from the precipice, clung to the nearest lips. Long story short, it was the wrong guy. Like, again, that idea of we have this ache, we want to fix it, and we seek it out in whatever's nearby. And whatever's easy, whatever's comfortable, we go back to these old things that can kind of help the ache a little bit temporarily, maybe not, but it feels good for the moment. We go back to these old coping mechanisms. I had a priest tell me one time in confession, is like, just because you're thirsty doesn't mean you have to drink out of a puddle.
You're like, wow.
I think about that all the time.
That's great advice.
Yeah, that's great advice. Just because you're thirsty doesn't mean you have to drink out of a puddle. So, and
use that.
I think that's another. Yeah, use that. I think that's kind of what she's saying. Is like, I was pushed from the precipice, and then I just clung to the nearest lips.
Yep.
You know, and I'm Taylor Swift, and I'm famous, and I'm beautiful, so I can just find the nearest lips, and that's how it works. Some of us have a harder time finding love, but guess it's easy for her. Passing love anyway. Sometimes I almost feel bad for beautiful people who like just people are pursuing all the time, because it's so easy to fall into that. It's like, oh, this person wants me. But like almost everybody wants you because you're beautiful. Like I feel I feel like that can be a real burden.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
I'm sure. Right.
Yeah. We are closing in on time here, but there's a couple songs I want to talk about. Marjorie is beautiful.
Marjorie.
This one's about her grandmother.
Yeah.
And who is an opera singer.
I didn't know that she was actually in it.
And she's singing.
She's singing in it.
Yeah, she's
That
talking
was so
about,
cool.
and if I didn't know better, I could swear you're singing to me now. And then it's like,
Oh, yeah.
in the background. That's awesome. They got her old
it's
grandma's
wild.
opera singer recordings.
Yeah.
There's something you wanted to talk about this song? There's one thing
just the one part, the one that stuck out to me the most was what died didn't stay dead.
Yes.
You're alive. I was like, the resurrection.
The resurrection. Exactly.
And with Easter, around,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yep, this is exactly what that is. It's the resurrection. That's what I pointed to.
She says, and if I didn't know better, I'd swear you were singing to me now. I'd swear you were still around. And I was like, oh, Tay, what you don't know. She is still singing to you.
Yes.
Interceding for you from heaven.
Yeah.
And assuming she's in heaven.
Right.
We'll pray for Marjorie and the repose of her soul. But like, yeah, there's such comfort in our faith that, I believe my dead grandfather, who I love and was a very saintly man, like I totally believe he's interceding for me.
Oh yeah.
And he is singing in a way, up in heaven, the choirs of angels sing.
Right.
We even say that during the Mass, when we sing the Holy, 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 we say, and so with the choirs of saints and angels in heaven, sometimes during the Mass, I try to imagine like grandpa's up there, next to like St. Francis, and they're like singing Holy, Holy, Holy. But like that's a reality,
right?
So yeah, I love this song. I think it does speak to the resurrection.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it also gives me comfort with like, because she talks about like regret, like I should have saved every grocery store receipt. I should have saved every shred of your memory.
Yep. Not taking that time for granted with loved ones, because you just never know.
And I've felt that too.
I have. Absolutely.
Especially when someone dies when you're like too young to understand it.
Yeah.
But again, there's such comfort in the resurrection. It's like, look, we're gonna get eternity to be together. Right. So even if I didn't get the best goodbye with that person, even if there was like something between us that we didn't get to reconcile, like this isn't the end. We're going to get a chance to talk about this.
Exactly.
Like,
yep.
You're going to get a chance, Taylor, you're going to get a chance to sing a duet with your grandmother, like in whatever, you can dress up in her old fancy dresses. Like that's all in our future.
Yeah.
And us Taylor Swift fans will be there, rocking out.
Right.
So. I have like this dream of heaven that I'm gonna get to like be in a worship band in heaven, like worshiping God with like my favorite like rock star musicians.
Absolutely, as you should.
So God, that's one of my requests for heaven. So I don't know if you take requests for
God,
that sort of thing.
Oh man.
My theology teachers, if they're watching this from my grad school, are like shaking their heads at me right now.
Closure.
Closure again, another. Kind of snarky, like you want some closure, but like whatever.
I wasn't a fan of this one.
Yeah.
The only thing I wrote down was like, it sounds like she wants to be British or something. Like, in certain parts of the song.
She's dating a British guy.
Yeah.
So she does slip into an accent every once in a while, which is interesting.
Right.
It's like she got a letter from an ex-boyfriend kind of apologizing. Like, I hope you're doing better. Sorry for the way things went. And she's like, I'm done with this. I'm over this. I don't need to give you closure.
Exactly.
Yes, I got your letter. Yes, I'm doing better. I know it's over. I don't need to have this conversation. I had a good friend of mine who, when she was young, like 17, 18, had kind of an abusive relationship with a much older guy in his 20s. And then later, like 10 years later, 15 years later, she randomly gets a Facebook message from this guy who had like done some awful things to her and should have known better because he was an adult, like 20-something-year-old, and she was 17. And he's like, hey, I just want to say if there was ever anything I did that was bad. And she's like, she's like, delete. Like, I cannot handle this.
No,
you know, so like I understand what Taylor's saying here. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Anyway. I'm not sure I have anything deeper there. We got to talk about Evermore.
We have to.
I know we're going long here, but we got to talk about Evermore.
Right.
I didn't like this song at first.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Well, and we were planning on doing this episode a couple months ago, and so I was listening to this album like crazy, and then I kind of stopped listening to it, and then I was like, oh, we're going to do this episode now. I need to start listening to it, and this is now like one of my favorite songs on the album.
This is my favorite song, I think.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Huge fan of this song. I really like the Bon Iver collab.
Yeah.
Like it just fits really well with the song, I think. And the lyrics that stuck out were that this pain would be forevermore. And just there's so many times in life, no matter what the situation, that we just think that the pain that we're in is just gonna last forever. We're just we can't get past that point. But having that hope and realization that it's not going to last forever and it's just a passing thing, it's a passing feeling, and how to deal with that pain in our lives. To be certain we'll be tall again was another lyric that was in there. And that's cool. Where hope comes in, I think.
That's a cool
To
image.
be certain we'll be tall again.
To be certain we'll be tall again. And she apparently Taylor Swift is like 6 feet tall. Apparently she's super tall. Which is funny.
I believe it. She does seem really tall.
To weather the frost or the violence of the dog days, I'm on the waves out being tossed. Is there a line that I could just go cross? I was shipwrecked. There's lots of cool stuff here. This song musically is really interesting. It starts off so beautiful, just that melody. It's super beautiful, and I think really her boyfriend like helped write some of this.
Oh, really?
Like the music part.
Okay.
But then it switches to the Bon Iver part, which is very, very different.
It's really different,
and it's kind of jarring, and then it goes back to that kind of sweet little melody at the end. And I like after it goes back to that, it was saying my fear was that this pain would be forevermore, and then it ends that this pain. I got this peculiar feeling that the pain wouldn't be forevermore. Like there's such resolution and hope at the end, and just that idea of forevermore. Like I think there is a glimpse of eternity there.
Oh yeah.
Like, pain tries to convince us it's gonna be here forever. It's always gonna feel like this. Nothing's ever gonna change. Your relationship's not gonna get better. The situation's not gonna get better. And that's like the lie again of our broken human nature, of the devil, whatever you want to call it. That despair, but things can change. Like our hearts can heal. We're never just totally broken and damaged. Like, and I feel like I've seen that so many times in my life, in the life of people I know and love, of friends, of students and youth that I've worked with. Like, there's so many beautiful stories of redemption, of people finding real healing in the Lord and through the ministry of the church. And I know lots of people have been hurt by the church too. I've been hurt by the church in some ways, but when the church is doing church right and we're living that community where the kingdom of God, it really is God's will being done amongst the community. There's real intimacy and care and love. Like, that's such a place for healing, such a place for hope. I feel like she's glimpsing that here, but
yeah, I would agree with that. So good. I love this song.
Me too. All right. So We skipped a couple just because there's so many, but I feel like we got the meat. We got the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, I would say so.
So if somebody's never listened to this album and wants to listen to this album, what would you say? You got to listen to these 3 songs. What would you say?
I think I would say Willow, Ivy, and Evermore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think those I also liked
ones.
Happiness, so you could throw that one in there too.
Good,
yeah. But those are my top 3.
My top 3 are "'Tis the Damn Season,"
yeah,
"Tolerate It," and "Ivy," which are all like super sad. But I just think they're really good.
Yeah.
The whole album's good. Like it's really good. There's it's great. So
yeah.
Excited to see what Tay has for us.
I know.
Next.
Yeah. Just keeps whipping them out.
Yeah. So let's end in prayer.
Okay.
Would you mind leading us, or you want me to?
I can do it. Yeah.
Awesome.
For
Let's
sure.
do it.
All right.
If before we start, just you at home, I would encourage you, join with us in this prayer. Take a moment, just set down what you're doing, take a breath, close your eyes unless you're driving, and join us in prayer. Sorry,
right.
Lauren, go ahead.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Come, Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for this gift to be together in the studio today. We thank you for the gift of music. We thank you for our beautiful songwriters and just the deep lyrics that they portray to us, and how we can find the deeper meaning in those to glorify you and bring us closer to you in our own lives. And just be with us and help us to know our worth in you and our worth in your heart and your eyes, and in what we deserve in our own relationships. And if there's ever a time that you are calling us out of something to just glorify you in a different way, if you are calling us out of something that we're not meant for, help us to respond to that call, and help us to grow in hope and humility, knowing that you are always there with us, and no matter what situation we are going through, no matter what pain that we may be feeling, that you are our Redeemer and our Savior, and there is so much greater, that we don't need to just be comfortable. We don't need to just settle. That you are calling us to a higher place. Help us to know our worth, because you created us, and you are good, and you saw that your creation was good. Lead us to you, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Lauren, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If people want to find out more about you and what you're doing, if you want them to find out, like, are you on social media?
I am. Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Lauren_Strauss10. And you can also find my face on the AWAKEN Catholic app, and in the show hosts. You can find me on our website as the event coordinator. You can scroll down, and if you wanna book us at AWAKEN, hit me up.
I know a guy who's like a mediocre Catholic speaker, worship leader.
We love you, Nick.
Yeah. Ooh, I was being self-deprecating.
You were.
She just came here in life, Nick. All right.
Oh man.
Yeah. So you can hire us to run a retreat or an event or do a conference for you, and Lauren's the person to contact with you contact for that. Also, if you know any teens who have kind of been disconnected from the church or their faith, the Quarantine Show is a great way to kind of get them connected if they haven't been able to go to church or youth group or whatever. So check out the Quarantine Show. Please share this with any Taylor Swift stans out there, anyone who you just think would appreciate this conversation, and subscribe, rate, all that stuff helps us. My name is Mike Tenney. You can find me at miketenneymusic.com, on social media at PKMikeyT, and also on the Awaken app. If you want to support us and everything that we're doing here at Awaken Catholic, please go to awakencatholic.org/donate. donate. Become part of the Awaken Nation by making a monthly donation. Make that part of your regular tithing. Just earmark a certain amount for media evangelization. We get messages all the time from people who say, that episode really helped me. I sent it to somebody who was really struggling. So we're touching hearts and changing minds, and you can help all that happen. You can keep these shows happening and also feed our children. So please do that, and we will see you next time on Pop Culture Catechism.
This show and all media on Awaken Catholic is made possible by the Awaken Nation and the Hallow app. The Awaken Nation is a community of people like you who support all things Awaken for as cheap as a cup of coffee a week and get access to exclusive content. Learn more by visiting awakencatholic.org/donate. Hallow is the only audio-guided Catholic prayer app focused on contemplative prayer and traditional Catholic meditation such as Lectio Divina, Daily Examen, and the Rosary. We here at Awaken all use Hallow every day and love it. To learn more or give it a try, visit hallow.app/awaken.